Welcome back to the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast. I'm, as ever, your humble and very contrite host, Michael Lundy, and this episode of the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast is very special to me personally. I sit down with my former bandmate, my mentor, my instructor, my teacher, my guide in not only music but also songwriting and performance in the early days of our band Prairie Dog. But we're sitting down with my friend and local music stalwart and icon Bruce Barr. We are going to talk about his life, his circadian upbringing from Philadelphia up to the Central Susquehanna valleys, his time as the Hippie of Sonestown, Pennsylvania, all with some music from his CD, Simple Pleasures, and we're going to kick this episode off. I'm so excited to get started. This is Sail Away, so let's sail away with Bruce Barr on this episode of the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast.
You and me will go to sea, we won't tell another. On the surface of the deep we'll be to each a brother. Away, sail away. We'll sail away to far off lands, other worlds we'll see. Sail right up to morning's edge and all this darkness leave. Away, sail away. In the sky we'll see the stars, from those stars our faces. We'll gather that celestial light, those beams from far off places. Away, sail away. You and me will go to sea, we won't tell another. On the surface of the deep we'll be to each a brother. Away, sail away. Sail away.
Sail Away from Bruce Barr's CD that he recorded a few years back called Simple Pleasures. And I've been doing this podcast now it's going on 3 years. We are up to, at this point, 35 episodes. I have done podcasts with a number of great songwriters, a number of great musicians, but there's one that I have wanted to do since day one. There's one person I've wanted to sit down and talk to. And this one is for purely personal reasons, because I have a tremendous amount of respect for this young man that we're going to talk to today. He is been a part of the local music scene here in the Central Susquehanna Valleys for years. He has encouraged and mentored and guided and taught a number of musicians and songwriters that I will run into people and I'll mention Bruce Barr and they'll say, "Oh yeah, I know Bruce, great guy." This whole podcast thing is a labor of love, but this particular episode for me is a very personal labor of love where I get to sit down and document and chat with my old friend, Bruce Barr. Bruce, welcome to the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh my gosh.
Glad to do this.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you know, and it's taken us a while to get to this point where we've actually gotten to sit down and chat. So, and I do, and I'm just going to get this right out front. And I have said this a number of times, done some songwriter showcases, and I've done, talking with, I wouldn't be a songwriter if it weren't for you. I would not have had, and it took me a long time to really approach you with a song that I'd written. And I really thought, oh my gosh, he's going to tear it up. And you didn't. You encouraged me. Whatever talent I have as a songwriter, I appreciate and thank you from the bottom of my heart for your encouragement, your mentorship, and your friendship as I was kind of learning the craft of songwriting and still learning it. So I just get that right out front.
Well, it was my pleasure.
Always is. Well, you have been a mentor for a number of songwriters and performers in the area. The one that springs to mind that I had no idea you had a connection to was Hannah Bingman.
Oh, yes.
She is a great songwriter. We feature her stuff on the radio show all the time, and I had the opportunity a couple of years back to do a songwriter showcase with her. And afterwards, we were talking about songwriting. I said Bruce Barr is really the reason I'm writing songs. She goes, "Oh, I know Bruce." Bruce, she goes, "As a matter of fact, I was out at Bruce's house helping him do woodwork and making cabinets." I said, "Oh God, yes, that's Bruce." And then she recorded out at Kimbo's. So yeah, so it's a small world in a small town, especially with music and that. So
yeah, it's nice. The local music community is pretty tight, which is really nice.
Yeah. But you didn't start out here. You didn't start out in the Central Susquehanna Valley. So let's set the Wayback Machine to at least 20 years ago when you stepped forth onto this mortal plane. Tell us about your family, your mom and dad, where you grew up, where you were born. Let's just start from there.
Okay. Well, I was born in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Grew up in a small town named Wayne, or near Wayne.
Well, that's almost on the border, isn't it?
Well, it's just outside. It's just outside. It's not in the city itself. It's one of the suburb towns.
Okay.
Gone out Route 30.
Got it.
And then we later moved in a little closer towards Ardmore, and that's where I went to school from 6th grade on. Graduated from Lower Merion High School, and then. Sort of knocked around for a while. Got interested in folk music in the early '60s.
Well, let's hold on before we get you into high school. Mom and Dad, were they musical?
Mom and Dad both really loved music.
Yeah.
And exposed me to a lot of music, classical music especially.
Okay.
And they arranged for me to have violin lessons when I was 8 years old. And so I learned how to play the violin.
How long did you keep that up?
I played the violin through junior high school.
Oh, no kidding!
Yeah, I played in the high school orchestra, junior high school orchestra.
Yeah,
and then, but that was also about the time. It was also about the time I got interested in folk music.
Okay.
And up until that time, I read music and could not play by ear.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I had always wanted to play guitar.
Yeah.
And even though I had begged for guitar for years, we had grandfather's violin in the attic, and so violin lessons it was.
Yeah. Brothers and sisters?
Yes, I had an older brother and a younger sister.
Were they musical? Did they do anything?
No.
Yeah. So you're it.
So I'm it. My dad played banjo ukulele when he was young.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he was born in 1904. His pop music was probably from like 2000, from like 1918 on. Early stuff down by the old mill stream. That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So they were more encouraging towards my learning classical music, but nonetheless, they suffered through years of 5-string banjo and guitar. So,
so from the age of 8 until you said high school, you had played the violin. So that was a number of years.
Yeah.
And did you? And is that where you learned theory? Is that where you learn? I mean, obviously, you had to learn theory to keep.
Well, actually, I didn't. The way I learned to play violin was a lot like touch typing. I was taught how to read music and play the notes on the page.
Okay.
So and as an 8 and 9-year-old, looking at a piece of paper with a bunch of lines on it and playing the same note over and over and over again, ad infinitum, was nowhere near as thrilling as running around in the woods or swimming in the creek.
Yeah.
But
and you're still in Ardmore at this point, like in Philadelphia area.
Yeah,
okay.
in that area, right?
Yeah. So but the folk bug bit you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So. Without giving away, specifics about chronology, about what time, what period of folk are we talking? Like, mid 50s, the Weavers, or are we talking early 60s with
early 60s mostly? Kingston Trio.
Okay, all right.
Kingston Trio, Judy Henske, some Weavers. The Weavers were still around at that point because they'd been recording.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much.
So this is I guess if you can put a marker down, this is pre-Dylan folk music.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And in the late 50s, early 60s, I mean, there were the Kingston Trio were a hot act.
Oh yeah.
You had Peter, Paul, and Mary. As you said, the Weavers were kind of fading out or disbanding.
Well, they didn't get the radio time that the other groups got.
And I wonder why. I mean, there was a documentary years ago on the Weavers, and I just never figured out, how did they not? I mean, within the folk community, they're very well known.
Yes,
but,
absolutely.
Outside of the folk community, except Pete Seeger was in with the Weavers.
Yeah, Pete Seeger was a big influence in my early days.
Yeah.
But all that stuff flew under the radar for pop radio.
Yeah.
So it wasn't something you'd find on the radio. It was something you had to find from your friends who were into that kind of music.
And so you're still in high school at this point.
Still in high school. Yeah.
Was there like this? I can just envision, the folky community in high school. You guys like sharing records and that back and forth, or you were playing guitar at the time, or
I was playing 5-string banjo at the time.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah. Okay, all right.
Yeah, I picked that up when I was about 14 years old.
Wow.
Met a friend at summer camp.
Yeah.
And he played banjo and showed me 3 chords and said, "Okay, let's do a song." And I love to tell this story especially to purist old-timey banjo players. I said, so the first song I learned on the 5-string banjo was Boney Maroney.
as they clutch their pearls and look askance at you, Boney Maroney.
Boney Maroney. But it was this huge epiphany that you could play an entire song with 3 chords.
Yeah.
And then the more I hung out with that friend and the more he expanded my exposure to Peter, Paul, and Mary and the Kingston Trio and things like that, the more I realized it's like, wow, this is so much different than the violin.
Yeah.
It's like I don't need music. As long as I can hear what's going on, I can play what's going on.
Yeah.
So that was great. It was it opened up a whole new ball game musically to me. It was like music had been sort of, in a way, it was more like a chore when I played in high school. It was like I had lessons every week.
Yeah.
And I played in the orchestra, and the orchestra had commitments.
Right.
But it wasn't necessarily for fun.
Right.
But, once I got my hands on a banjo, it was like, hey,
Yeah.
this stuff is fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's interesting to hear you say it, because I hear a lot of people, say that when they were, I don't know, just pigeonholed or stuck with, the violin or the oboe or the flute or something. And it's, to put a kid into that kind of drudgery, no wonder there's not more people out there playing, instruments, music.
Yeah, well, for some reason, unless your local culture was built around community music, classical music and professional music was pretty much what was going on. And if you wanted to take lessons, you took lessons with a woman that taught piano in your neighborhood, my violin lessons were taught by a young German woman.
Oh boy!
In her early 20s, named Eunice Springling.
Eunice.
And she would come to our house and let's see, would have been about maybe a 1954, 55 Volkswagen.
Oh, no kidding!
Yeah, it was the first any of us had ever seen a Volkswagen.
How exotic that was!
Yeah, it was really. It's like we had a 48, 49 Ford station wagon. Yeah, the thing was gigantic in comparison.
That's funny. Well, that was the early days of Volkswagens too. I mean, that was holy geez. Yeah. But she's German, so I mean, there's a. Did you? So your friend introduced you to the 5-string banjo, and that's where you started with outside of the violin.
Outside of the violin. Yeah.
Did how much of what you had taken from the violin lessons through high school and your German instructor, how much of that carried over into the banjo, or was it like a completely different world?
It was a completely different world.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, to sort of move through time a little bit here.
Yeah.
As I got more and more into folk music and old timey music, and then into early acoustic blues and things like that, I tried other instruments. I started playing guitar when I was 16, 17 maybe.
Okay.
And played both at that point, the guitar and the banjo, and then the friend that had shown me how to play the banjo bought a mandolin.
Oh.
And so I thought, wow, this mandolin, this is pretty cool. So I tried the mandolin, and then I realized that the mandolin and the violin are tuned the same.
Yeah.
And so instead of taking what I had learned on the violin into my folk music and stuff, I went backwards, and after I learned how to play the mandolin, I went back to playing fiddle.
Oh, no kidding!
A little bit,
okay. Yeah.
But my love was still the guitar.
Yeah.
And so I pursued that more heavily than.
What was? So how did you get your first banjo, and what was it? Do you remember what?
It was a K banjo.
Okay.
And I bought it from the friend that had taught me. He sold it to me for $25.
Yeah.
And for a period of about 5 years, we would sell it back and forth to each other for $25 every other year or so. While we fooled around with other instruments. He was the kind of guy that could sort of pick up anything, and 15 minutes later, he was playing a song.
Yeah. Wow.
So the banjo bounced back and forth between us for several years. Yeah.
Were you old enough to observe the folk scene in the Philadelphia area, or was that still another planet?
No. We definitely got exposed to the folk scene that was happening in Philadelphia, and we were really fortunate in that a lot of the especially the older acoustic blues players. Mm-hmm. I get to see Mississippi John Hurt and Son House and people like that when they came to play the second fret in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Dave Van Ronk. They were all big names in that scene at that time. So we definitely got involved in the music scene in the city. It was great.
How to be that close, to have that that formative time. You pick the banjo up, and then to be that close to a vibrant scene where people like some of the big names coming in there, and to be able to go and see them. I mean, what kind of a I want to say an early education that was. Did you ever were you guys playing like in any of the venues down there?
Well, we played in high school hootenannies.
Okay.
And the first band I was in, our bass player suggested that we call ourselves the Anachronisms because we were playing music that nobody else knew from the past.
I think I know what a hootenanny is, because that's a very common term in the folk scene and folk music, no matter where. Tell us what a hootenanny is.
Hootenanny was generally a large enough gathering where there would be some sort of a stage, and people would come and just jam, or bands. My first band was a jug band, basically, and we would just get together and you'd learn a half a dozen songs, and you'd get up in front of everybody and sing your half dozen songs, and then get down and cheer for the next group.
So on a bigger scale and with a lot more time to play songs, it's kind of like the concept of an open mic. It sounds like, is that?
Yeah, it was sort of between that and a small festival.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
More of a large group of people. Yeah. All sharing.
And the fact that you could do this in high school. Now, was this made up of mostly like your fellow high school peers, or was it people from other towns that would come?
People would come from other places, you know, and it was I mean, there was all the suburban communities were pretty well interconnected, and everybody there was intramural sports and stuff like that, so we all knew people in other schools and stuff, so it was always fun to get around and meet whoever you could, who was playing. It was exciting.
Well, I mean, it speaks to what the folk music and the music scene was back then. You could do something like that.
Oh, it was great.
In high school.
Yeah.
I defy anybody at least in this era, that kind of stuff probably doesn't happen anymore.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It was like, first it was the hootenannies, then it was happenings.
Okay.
There's going to be a happening.
Yeah. Oh, now we're getting into like the mid-'60s kind of stuff.
Right,
okay.
Yeah,
all right. So explain to us what a happening is.
Well, a happening is when a bunch of folks got together with as much beer as they could get their hands on, and as many instruments as they could carry, and just wail away for the night.
So you've gone beyond the high school stuff into wailing away with beer through the night then.
Right. We're just out of high school now. And the 60s scene has setting in, happenings were definitely part of the 60s thing. It's like, this is a spontaneous event. We're all going to have a great time. Bring your banjo.
And I suspect that's where, you just swap songs and, just swap songs, swap chords, what a incubator for ideas and, helping each other out.
Yeah. I don't think there were really any of us that were writing, but everybody had their favorites that they liked to play, and so, but of course you were always being exposed to new material since there were always people showing up with their interests, you know? So it was really, really cool.
One thing before we get too far from, the 60s and the hootenanny, what was your first guitar?
My first guitar was a handmade Mexican 12-string guitar. Really? That was made out of maple with a spruce top.
Okay.
And I bought it from a friend of mine who was also part of the folk scene.
Yeah. He wanted
to buy a Harmony Sovereign.
Oh, okay.
Harmony Sovereigns at that time were the hot ticket because it was basically a dreadnought 6-string, at a really decent price, a really affordable price. So it wasn't up there competing with Gibson and Martin. You could buy one for probably $60 or something. So I bought. He wanted that, and he never liked the fact that the 12-string was all light colored woods. So he had
purely aesthetics, huh?
Purely aesthetics, right. So he had painted the sides and the back with brown deck paint.
Oh dear Lord!
so it would look more like rosewood. I guess.
Funny.
So I gave him $20 and a case of Iron City beer for it.
There you go.
And this was just probably my senior year in high school.
Yeah. Senior. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Now, did you sand the veneer off the sides, or did you just keep it?
No, I sanded I sanded all the deck paint off of it and took it back down to the maple again.
Oh, God. I can imagine that thing. What was the action like on that thing? Because I mean, 12 strings.
Oh, it was a truck.
Oh, I'll bet.
It was definitely a truck. Yeah. And then,
measured the action in feet.
you slide your little finger under it up near the saddle easily. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was murder.
Wow. But I mean, that's what you had, and
that's what I had.
Yeah,
I loved it. I played it all the time. It's just, wow. I had really incredible calluses from that guitar.
Oh, no doubt. Well, a 12-string, just even a perfectly set up 12-string, you're going to get calluses. Right. But I mean, one where you have to actually use your forearm muscles to get to make the chords, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So we're in the mid '60s. You're outfitted with your banjo and your 12-string. Where are we at now? You've had the Hootenannies and the Happenings, and you're in the band, the Anachronists?
The Anachronisms.
Yeah, the Anachronisms, right, yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that band, after we graduated from high school, we all disappeared off to colleges and stuff, so that was the end of that.
Yeah.
But then after that, basically, I went into the workforce, got married.
Mm-hmm.
But I still maintained my connection with the local people I knew that were into music.
Yeah.
And at that point, I think our interests were shifting towards old acoustic blues, Piedmont stuff, Delta stuff, and then old timey music.
Now explain what old timey music is.
Old timey music is like music from the 20s and 30s.
Okay. No, it's not like ragtime or anything. It's still like based in Appalachia, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, that was an outgrowth of like the folk music scene, or is it something that?
Yeah, that definitely grew out of the folk music scene.
All right. And we're talking what, mid '60s, late '60s now?
Yeah, mid '60s to late '60s.
Okay. All right. Yep. Interesting. See, I always pictured you as at this point, like being into, not the classic rock, but like the, not the British blues, but like the Muddy Waters, and all that. I didn't know you were into the old timey stuff.
Yeah, well, the friend that sold me the banjo, he and I were really close for years and years and years, and he, our lives would exchange back and forth.
Right.
He went into the Navy for a while, and then he was in the Merchant Marine for a while, and but every time he came back, we would get together, and he came home with a sitar one time from a run to India, so we all got into Indian music for a while there in the '60s. He was a real influential force for me.
Yeah. And, I don't know if you've mentioned his name, have you?
Eric Oberg was his name.
Eric Oberg.
Yeah.
Okay.
He still lives over outside of Bloomsburg here.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, shout out to Eric then.
Yeah.
But you know what? It really is. There's a guy that influenced you. You've influenced it. I mean, so,
Yeah, the ripples spread.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. And I've always loved that about music. Music was a great way to connect with people.
Right. Right. Yeah. So you're into the old timey stuff. Example of like an old timey song or artist that the general public would probably be aware of, just so we can have some context.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank here. Well, Hop High Ladies was a really popular. It's not bluegrass.
Yeah.
I went through a bluegrass period too, but it's not bluegrass. Old timey music is more. I wish I could think of the name of the bands that were really.
I'm trying to think something in a modern context of old timey music, and the only thing I can think of is like the. And this really isn't a good example. The soundtrack to Old Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I don't know if that would be considered old timey music or not.
Yeah, a lot of that was.
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
Like I said, because it's such it's such an offshoot of folk music that I think if people say, oh, it's old timey music. It's just folk music by another name. And it really is not.
No, it had morphed into something else.
Yeah,
It had become
and it kind of made a revival a couple of years, back, and maybe still with, some of the Carolina Chocolate Drops. It's kind of like that old timey kind of music as well. So, wow. But again, I thought you were more entrenched in like, the blues and the electric. We haven't even talked about an electric guitar.
No,
yet.
I didn't get an electric guitar until I was in my late 20s.
Oh, wow.
But I was definitely interested in the blues back then.
Yeah.
And started picking up from Muddy Waters and the early blues guys.
Yeah.
And blues like bluegrass and like folk music was a genre where basically if you knew 3 chords, you could join in.
Right.
So there was a form to it. If you understood the form, you had mastered a half dozen chords.
That's right. Yeah.
As long as they were in your key, you were good.
So again, we're in the late 60s, and that you're still in the Philadelphia area.
Right.
Right. When did you start writing songs?
Well, we moved upstate here. We moved up to just outside of Bloomsburg in '69.
Okay.
And I met some more friends up here through music mostly.
Yeah.
At that point, I met a friend who loaned me a Stella archtop 6-string. And I thought I would teach. Up until that point, I had been strictly a finger picker, and I thought I would try to teach myself how to flat pick.
Okay.
So I started flat picking on that, having moved away from the city, access to recorded music was limited.
Yeah.
And that's when I began to sort of noodle around with writing my own material. It's probably in the early 70s.
Okay. Well, not only getting the physical material, the records and all that, but the radio stations up here probably weren't playing.
Nah.
Yeah.
No, pop. 20, it was pop stuff. Top 20 or country.
Yeah. Was there enough people in this area that were into the music that you were into, the folk and the old time and the blues stuff, that you were able to make enough connections?
There were a few people around, and we all sort of stayed in touch and sort of expanded the group a little bit when we could. Yeah.
Yeah. So just basically out of necessity, you started writing.
Yeah. It was. I thought, well, geez, this stuff is not really hard. And I could probably rhyme a few words here, play a couple of chords, and get away with it.
Yeah. Do you remember the first song that you wrote?
I think.
And was it any good?
Well, actually, I think maybe the first song I wrote was called "Movie Time."
Oh, okay.
And it's a ragtime tune. And I really liked playing it on the 12-string because it had the jingle of ragtime to it, and it was a good song, actually.
Good.
And because it was a good enough song that people said, "Hey, that's pretty cool," it encouraged me to try another one. So that was sort of the early 70s. I began poking around. Plus, the friend I'd made that loaned me the Stella introduced me to a lot of really interesting music from New York City. He was a city boy that had come out this way. So that was sort of the turning point there.
Now, did you start writing in earnest? I mean, were you cranking them out, or was it just like when inspiration hit, you would just write something?
Yeah, once in a while, some idea would pop into my head, and I'd fool around with it for a while, until something matured.
Yeah. Now, were you in a band, or were you just playing, on your own, or just with groups?
Well, actually, after I moved up here, we put together a band, in the early mid '70s, and we did blues and boogie stuff.
Okay.
And by that time, I had been introduced to the electric guitar.
Okay.
I decided to go back to school, and I went to WAC.
Oh, okay. Williamsport Area Community College,
Yes,
for those of you either outside the area, or if you're from the area, and you're too young to remember that Williamsport Area Community actually started as Williamsport Business School. Williamsport Area Community College is now Penn College. So
Right.
just to give you some context there.
Right.
Okay. Right. So you went back to school. What'd you major in? Or what'd you?
Well, I was interested in studying psychology. I had
Really?
I
Okay.
had my life had bounced around some, and I had actually spoken to a psychologist at one point to help me out of a depressing situation.
Sure.
And I was really moved by how helpful that had been.
Wow.
And up until that time, I'd done all kinds of crazy stuff, but mostly I was working in the trades.
Okay.
So at any rate, when I went back to school, I met a young guy, and we discovered that we had music in common. And he said, "Oh, do you play electric?" And I said, "No." Yeah. At that point, I still had the trusty 12 string.
There you go.
And the Stella.
Yeah.
And so he said, "Well, I'm not playing much right now." He said, you can have mine and fool around with it if you want. So he loaned me a Stratocaster and a super reverb amp, I think. Early Fender amp. Yeah, beast of a thing.
Heck yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'd be able to lift it now. But,
Oh yeah.
but and Neil Young was really big on the scene at that time.
Okay.
And I started listening to Neil Young, and I started trying to play along with it. And I discovered that what I had learned from folk music and old-timey music and old acoustic blues was a good background for that.
Yeah.
And so I began to pick up on it.
Interesting you said, so as far as electric, like you jump right on to Neil Young, who he always seemed to me like a kind of a sloppy lead guitar player. And you never struck me like that. I mean, so when you said Neil Young, I'm like, oh, wow, I can see the connection, the folk connection. Uh-huh. But, he just seems like he's a sloppy lead guitar player, and you're certainly not. But, so that was kind of...
The music in the 60s, especially in the mid-60s, that I was really into was West Coast psychedelic stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And you couldn't play that on a 12-string guitar.
Right.
But I loved the music, Moby Grape and
Yeah.
all of those groups, So.
There's more to that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, than the Grateful Dead. There's more to that kind of stuff than just the Grateful Dead. So if we throw out some of these, unknown bands in that, look them up. I'm sure as we move through, I'm going to be surprised, but but really, I guess, having known you for as long as that, none of this really should surprise me, because you seem to like pull from a lot of genres and a lot of different background stuff. So none of this stuff should surprise me. Did you find the transition from acoustic to electric to be difficult? Were you one of these guys or gals that intuitively knew that you approach the electric guitar different than you do the acoustic guitar?
Well, for blues, it was pretty much an easy transition.
Okay.
And I had a fairly decent foundation in the blues by that point. So anything that was blues based, I could sort of get a handle on.
Okay.
I still hadn't, I still wasn't into, I hadn't figured out soloing yet.
Okay.
But I was just beginning to figure out single note stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's somehow or another the Neil Young connection there was good for that. I mean, he wasn't playing sophisticated solos.
No.
So I could copy what he was doing.
Okay. All right. See, I'm looking at the Bruce Barr that I knew from 7-8 years ago until today, and it's like, okay, yeah. Now looking at it with that kind of paradigm, okay, yeah, I can see where Neil Young would be a good entry point into electric guitar and learning leads. Yeah. So okay, all right. I got it now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Takes me a while, but well, you know that. So this is a borrowed Strat and Super Reverb.
Right.
Yeah. Well, how soon from the loaner till you went out and got your first electric?
It was only a matter of a few months.
Okay.
We were living fairly close to Robert Side's music store in Williamsport at the time.
Okay. So you when you moved up here from Philly, you were outside of Bloomsburg.
Outside of Bloomsburg.
And then you moved up closer to Williamsport.
Well, we lived in Bloomsburg for a while. Actually, it was Orangeville, just outside of Bloomsburg.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we moved from Orangeville to Sonestown, just below Eaglesmead.
Oh my gosh! Now, is this where you became the Sonestown hippie, or is that later on?
No, that's where I became the Sonestown hippie.
All right, so I might as well just breach this subject right now, and I think I've told you this story. Well, go ahead and tell them about the Sonestown hippie.
Well, that we had been offered. I was having a lot of trouble finding work as a carpenter up here. Mm-hmm. And we had been offered a house to live in for free in Sonestown that had been like a summer house for a friend of a friend, you know. So we moved up to Sonestown, and I had friends up in Sullivan County, that were fairly close. So we wound up in Sonestown, but we were totally broke, and I, as a matter of fact, I think that was, I applied for food stamps. Mm-hmm. We were that broke.
Yeah.
So there we were living in Sonestown in this big old house, and we couldn't afford a telephone, but I needed to stay in touch with my family back in Philadelphia. Mm-hmm. So I would give everybody the number of the payphone that was on a telephone pole in the middle of town. Uh-huh. It was a very small town. There were like, maybe 15, 20 houses in town. Yeah. And all the kids hung out by the payphone because there was a little restaurant there too. So when people called me, the kids would answer the phone and come down to the house and say, "Hey, you have a phone call." So when you say we, that you were married at the time and had kids and all. I was married at the time and had a little girl.
Oh my gosh! Run down there. You got a phone call. Trudge up to the restaurant. But how did you? I mean, so. Go ahead and expound on the Hippie of Sonestown then. So.
Well, the town sort of accepted us and adopted us as their own. Yeah. Whereas we had an entirely different experience in Orangeville. In Orangeville, we were definitely outsiders and we were very suspect.
Really?
And we were not welcomed. And
not close enough to Bloomsburg for the university to kind of help out or anything.
Well, the university was pretty much a local day school thing at the time.
Oh.
It was they didn't have much influence in the community.
Okay, all right. Interesting. You had to go to the southern part of or northern Lycoming County, southern Sullivan County area to be. To be accepted as the Hippie of Sonestown.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Well, I'd also lived, sort of somewhere in there. Maybe it was after that even. At any rate, but yeah, people that lived in the remoter areas were actually more accepting.
Isn't that weird?
Which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I first started coming up here when I was 14. I would come up. The friend that taught me how to play the banjo.
Okay.
His mother bought a farm outside of Bloomsburg. I got a job teaching at Bloomsburg High School, and they moved up when I was 14. So I'd been coming up since I was 14, and I loved the area because back then it was very rural where he lived, and any excitement was welcome excitement for the people who lived in the country.
Sure, yeah.
And so they were all smiles and happy to meet you, know. And I thought, oh, this is great. I would love living up here, you know. at the end of the 60s, the police chased us out of Philadelphia pretty much. And we moved up. And we landed in Orangeville because I had a friend that had purchased a building there that was vacant. And he said we could take that. And we were sort of ostracized by the town community. We were accepted by the 2 college professors from Bloomsburg that lived in town.
Okay.
And formed friendships that had lasted a lifetime.
Good.
Good. But the rest of the townies were very suspect of us. Don't know about these guys.
Yeah.
So that was a little odd.
So you moved to Sonestown, which was more,
which is remote again.
Oh yeah.
And
even today it's remote. I mean,
Yep. Yeah, it's off the beaten path pretty much.
Yeah. How long were you in Sonestown?
We were there for about a year and a half.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, you were there long enough, and this is a number of years ago, and I was talking to someone from up there, and I don't know if they mentioned it or I mentioned it, but I said, the Hippie of Sonestown. I go, oh yeah, I remember him. And I said, well, I play guitar, or he plays guitar with our band. He goes, oh wow. He goes, he said, I remember the Hippie of Sonestown. So whether whether it was you or maybe there's a revolving door of Hippies of Sonestown, but I always thought it was like, damn, somebody knew Bruce.
Yeah, it was a great community. They actually opened their doors to me.
Wow.
I got invited on the town bear hunt. Which was really interesting. I've always wanted to write a song about that.
The town bear hunt.
The town bear hunt. All the guys in town got together to hunt bear up on the mountain.
Oh, funny.
And so I was really accepted into the community and pretty much knew everybody in town and we got along with all the folks.
Yeah. Were you playing music at the time up there? Or?
Not with anybody in town, but
okay.
I still had my connections to Bloomsburg and stuff, and we would still get together and play.
Yeah. Wow. This might be a good time to take a break, and because we'll use Sonestown as kind of the breakaway point here, and we'll come back in the next section. Or the next segment of the show and talk from Sonestown on, and we're gonna play between these 2 segments "Life on Other Worlds" from your CD Simple Pleasures. Tee up "Life on Other Worlds" because it's a really great song, and I've played it on the radio show a couple times. Tee it up. Where was the inspiration come from? Just kind of in writing the song.
Well, the inspiration came from my daughter.
Yeah, I could tell it had to have been some kind of a.
Yes, we had. By that time, my wife and I had separated. And my wife had moved to Florida, and the kids would come. My daughter and my son would come up, and spend the summers with me.
Yeah.
And my daughter was having a hard time adjusting socially to life in Key West. And
now, how old was she at the time?
She was in her teens.
Oh, good morning! Wow.
So I got the call from my ex one day, and she said, "I just can't deal with her anymore. You're going to have to take her." And I said, "Okay, not a problem."
Yeah.
So she was. I think my daughter was like maybe 15 at the time. She came up and moved in, and so. There I was, being pretty much a single parent to a 15-year-old girl with raging hormones and social issues,
Yeah.
So I remember at one point she had worn me down finally, and I was really flummoxed and didn't know what to do. And in exasperation one day I said to her, "Your old man plays in a rock and roll band, smokes dope, and hangs out with his buddies. what's wrong with your life? Why are you so angry and upset about everything? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course she didn't know how to respond to that, you know. And then the more I considered that, eventually I had this epiphany, you know, that her job was to prepare to leave the nest.
Yeah.
My job was to be the ogre and set the boundaries. You know,
okay.
I couldn't be a buddy.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't be as close as we were when she was younger.
Right.
You know, because, you know, she was beginning to define herself as not her parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I was thinking of it as this is a really alien experience for me. You know, and that was the key to the song. It was like life on other worlds.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let's go ahead and listen to Life on Other Worlds from Bruce Barr, and we'll come back and get him out of Sonestown if he wants to leave, right here on the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast.
Well, if you ever wonder about life on other worlds, I suggest you talk to parents about adolescent boys and girls. They'll tell you that the innocence they bore and raised so well have somehow been possessed by aliens from hell. Suddenly those parents who showed off their kids with pride are going crazy, playing catch-up as taken for a ride, careening through a roller coaster trip of falls and curves, popping Prozac to alleviate fried nerves. These life forms that till recently seemed such loving kids have got their parents so worked up they're about to flip their lids. First they're up, then they're down, they're always changing moods. Well, you try to help them out, all you'll get is attitude. Well, I guess that it's no wonder that daddy lost his hair, and mama's now in counseling, crying it's not fair. Well, they did their best and they tried real hard to raise their darlings right, but body snatchers stole their phone one dark and evil night. So if you're gazing starward, wondering if life exists on other planets, somewhere in that twinkling night, just think of all those parents who wished upon a star and ended up with aliens who always want their car.
From Simple Pleasures, Life on Other Worlds, Bruce Barr. And it sounds like Sonestown was not another world. It seems like you were accepted and kind of enjoyed that time. So yeah.
I did. I loved living up there. It was great. Yeah.
So, but you speak of it as a past tense. So you left Sonestown.
Yeah, I left Sonestown, and that's when we moved to Williamsport, and I went to WAC.
Well, okay.
Yeah. I thought, well, maybe I'll try to get out of the trades and try a profession of some sort.
Now, when you say the trades, I mean, like, what were you doing then? I know we don't talk about day jobs, but I'm asking this for a reason.
Oh, well, I worked in construction doing masonry and carpentry. And,
okay.
That was my background.
Yeah.
And so when I moved up here, that's what I was looking to do, was to support us as a carpenter. You know?
Mm-hmm.
That was my position back then.
Okay. because we're going to come back to the whole carpentry and the craftsmanship stuff a little later on, maybe in the third segment. But so down in Williamsport, where you're mid 70s or late
73.
73. Okay, so we're still in the early 70s.
Yep.
Now, at the time, I mean, you didn't move down there with the eye toward, that's the music and all that. I mean, you went down. You moved down there, obviously to go to whack and stuff like that. What was the music scene like in Williamsport and the surrounding areas then? And did you immediately jump into it, or how did you get involved?
No, actually, I didn't get involved in it at all. We were there for probably a little less than a year. I decided that I finished my first semester, and the trade school that was originally the school there was still in business, and I had sort of made the decision that I wasn't going to pursue the academic thing. So I went to my advisor and I said I would like to mix courses in the technical school as well. And they said, well, we don't have a curriculum for that. And I said, I don't see what the problem is since I'm paying for the courses. I should be able to take what I want. Right. And their attitude was, no, you have to study a curriculum. You have to pick a curriculum and blah, blah, blah. Huh. So at that point, a friend of mine had purchased some land and asked me if I was interested in building him a house. So we decided to pack up from Williamsport and move over to Bloomsburg area again. So that I could build this house. You know? So that got us out of Williamsport. I doubt that we were there for a year.
Oh, okay. All right. So,
and there really wasn't much of a music scene that I was aware of.
Okay.
I only knew people within the college. Okay. The neighborhood we lived in, I didn't really make friends except with a couple of the neighbors. Okay.
I mean, because I think we alluded to it, but you didn't leave Sonestown for Williamsport other than to go to WAC.
Right. That was the sole purpose.
It's interesting that they're doing a mixed curriculum was oh no, we can't do that.
Right. Yeah. I was very surprised.
Yeah. But I mean, if somebody asks you to come and help them build a house, you obviously had some innate talent that.
I had the skills at that point. I had the skills at that point to do that.
Did you build the house?
We did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Still stands?
It still stands.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah, as a matter of fact, it was a complete hippie enterprise from beginning to end.
Good for you.
And we got a bunch of friends together.
Yeah.
The guy that wanted to build the house went to American Car Foundry in Berwick, where they were tearing apart old freight cars. Uh-huh. And he bought a tractor trailer load and a half of railroad car flooring that was made out of 2x8, 10, and 12 tongue and groove yellow pine.
Oh, wow.
And that's what we built the house out of. Okay. He was an artist, a painter. Uh-huh. And he designed the house. And we built it entirely out of used railroad cars.
Oh my gosh!
It's really an impressive building too. It's really gorgeous place.
So did you? Hell, you were busy building this house. Did you get back into any kind of music or playing in that?
At that point, I was back in that community of friends I had from the Bloomsburg area, and we started playing again.
Yeah.
And that's when we put together my first band up here.
Yeah.
And I think we called ourselves Patchwork. At first. And mostly we did blues and boogie stuff.
Okay.
We had my wife and another female vocalist.
Oh wow.
And we did a lot of like Bonnie Raitt and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. There were 2 guitar players in the band, and the guy I built the house for, I taught to play the bass.
Okay. So now I've counted 5 with you 6. How many total were in this band?
We had a harmonica player too.
Holy
So we were, but we were playing in an area that didn't want to hear blues and boogie. They wanted to hear top 20 and country music.
Yeah.
So, but we got a steady gig playing at the Cracker Barrel over in Catawissa.
All right, not the chain Cracker Barrel. This is
a bar restaurant over there that supported music.
Yeah.
And we would play there. We would play there Monday nights, and it was basically a practice for us,
Sure.
because Monday night was a dead night, and they didn't pay us anything, but they would comp us beer,
Yeah.
And it was fun, friends would come.
Well, hell, they couldn't afford it. If you had like 6 to 7 people in this band, they probably couldn't afford to pay you guys. So, wow.
Yeah.
So how long did that last?
Well, the band stayed together for a couple of years.
Oh, wow, good.
And we worked real hard. We changed our name to Blue Rock Junction.
Okay.
At one point, because somebody found out that there was another band called Patchwork.
Yeah.
So we became Blue Rock Junction, but we were still doing blues and boogie stuff.
Yeah.
And we had been trying to get into some of the bigger venues in the area, and we finally got into Sophie's Tiki Lounge outside of Bloomsburg.
Okay.
And this was sort of like the big time locally.
Yeah.
And so we thought we were finally gonna catch the wave.
Yeah.
So we went and our other guitar player was a young kid who had just graduated from high school. He was a really good guitarist.
Yeah.
And he was so shy that for the first year we were together, he never faced the audience. He would play facing his amplifier.
Oh my gosh.
So we got this gig at Sophie's Lounge, and we called everybody we knew, and we packed the place.
Good.
And so there we were up on stage. We're beginning the second set, and Sean was the other guitar player's name. We broke into Johnny Be Good, and Sean had the first lead in Johnny Be Good.
Yeah.
And he turned around from his amp and faced the crowd for the first time.
Oh boy.
He went absolutely rigid.
Yeah.
and rocked sideways from foot to foot while he burned the place to the ground. He just played this smoking lead that was great. You know?
But stood there like teetering on
teetering back and forth.
Oh man.
And then at the end of the evening, the place broke into a riot. There was some guy in the audience jumped up and grabbed this picture of Sophie that was hanging from the trusses in the ceiling. A big portrait of her. Grabbed it and ran out the back, and the place broke into this brawl.
Oh my God!
The bartender pulled a gun.
Man!
All this crazy stuff going down. And Sean, the shy kid who hadn't said anything in a couple of years, turns to me and he says, "I think we boogied them all to violence."
Boogie to violence. That'd be a good song. Boogie to violence.
Boogie to violence.
Now, you're still not you're not using the borrowed Fender.
No.
By
that time, just before we left Williamsport, and I moved over to build a house, I bought a Silvertone 12 amp from Robert Sides. And the harmonica player that was playing with us had a Strat that he had purchased from a friend of his who was trying to get out of town to get ahead of a warrant that had been a bench warrant that had been issued for something. So I bought the Strat from him for $80.
No kidding.
Yeah. And that's what I was playing. I was playing a Strat and a Silvertone twin 12 amplifier.
Yeah.
And we put 2 guitars, a vocal, and a keyboard through it.
Back in the old days when you'd run all that stuff through, and had how many
four inputs on that.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You kids don't know how good you got it nowadays. And those Silvertones, that was were they solid state?
No,
or
it was a tube.
Was it a tube amp?
Yeah, it was a big tube amp.
Oh wow. Because they were sold by Sears, but I forget who made those.
Dan Electro made them.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were Dan Electro made all those Sears, and they made airline amplifiers for Montgomery Wards as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, they had a sound of their own. They definitely had a sound of their own.
The funny thing is, in the late '70s when I was coming up, those silver tones were like, oh no. There was Sears, solid state. Now,
they go for big bucks.
I know, crazy. So and I'm thinking, and I was going to say, okay, let's get granular on the Strat. Was it a pre-CBS or post-CBS?
It was a 64.
64. So that was pre-CBS. Yep. You bought it for $50.
$80, I think it was.
Yeah,
I was pissed off because I knew he had only paid $40 for it.
Yeah. if you still had the damn thing.
Oh well, I held on to it for years.
Yeah.
And then in the '90s, I met a guitar maker over in Bloomsburg, and I was really knocked out by the quality of his acoustic guitars. And I was doing some cabinet work for him, and I said, would you be interested in building me a guitar? And he said, sure. He said they start at $1,800. And depending on what frills you want, they go up from there.
Yeah.
So, at that point, vintage instruments were just beginning to go for big bucks, and I got Scott Fritz over at Schoolhouse Music to shop it for me at a NOM show for $2,400.
Okay, all right. So you made out well then with that.
Oh yeah.
All right.
And
because I always envision, I bought it for $80. It's a pre-CBS Fender Stratocaster, and I let it go
for $100.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So
no, I got some. At the time, it was a really good price for it.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And that paid for a custom acoustic guitar.
Very good.
So,
all right. Yeah. But you're still with Patchwork. What was the follow-on name for the band?
Blue Rock Junction.
Blue Rock Junction. Right. Okay. So you're still playing with them. You're still you're still doing the building, the carpentry stuff. Is that?
Yeah.
So had you continued to write songs, or were you just more?
Yeah. No,
okay.
I wrote songs for the band. Some.
So you're doing originals?
Yeah. We did a few originals.
How did they go over at the time?
Well, to go back to Sophie's.
Yes.
As we were packing up our equipment to go home, there were 2 or 3 guys slumped over the bar with a half dozen beers set out after the last call.
Yeah.
We thought the evening had been a raging success, since we boogied them to violence.
Heck yeah.
And one guy leans over to the other and he said, boy, these guys really suck. They didn't play one song I knew.
Oh, you know what? I have heard that too. You got to give the people what they want.
You got to give them what they want.
Oh man! So so the more things change, the more they stay the same.
Yeah. So at that point, the area wasn't really open to original music much, or the blues.
Yeah. Oh man. Well, you still boogied them to violence. So I mean, that's you got to take that as a win.
Yeah.
So how long did you stay with Blue Rock Junction and that
we
project?
We played together for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then my marriage ended and the other vocalist left. And we sort of went back to jamming with whoever we could find to jam with for a while. And I don't think I got back. I don't think I got back into another band. Well, actually, I ended up being a sit-in guitarist in a couple of bands.
Okay.
Because they lost a member and needed somebody to fill in. And they were it was like on the cusp of the band breaking up anyway.
Yeah.
So I would play with them. I played with a band that was very popular in Williamsport at the time called Brothers and Others.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, with Kim Reichling.
Yes.
Kim was my connection into that.
Yeah.
But then in the mid '80s, I called up a bunch of friends who I'd been jamming with for years and said, we all had families, we were all working, and I said, let's get together one night a week and make music, So we started getting together on Wednesday evening and playing music and that band eventually became the Uncles of Funk.
I love the name of that band. You referred to that when you were playing with us. I said that's a great name for a band.
Yeah, and we were basically a dance band,
Yeah.
And we had a really good time. We had a lot of fun.
Good. Now you had mentioned Kim. Are we talking about Kimbo?
Yeah, Kimbo.
Yeah. So you and Kimbo go back a ways.
Yeah, when after my marriage fell apart, I ended up living with Kim and a bunch of other people in a rented farmhouse.
I was trying to circle back so you would tell about the. I can't imagine the two of you, but go ahead. Yeah.
There were I think 4 or 5 of us that rented this farmhouse together. And Kim and I started playing together.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think we were the first act that played at the Scarlet D when they started to do music. Yeah. Way back, this would have been like 77.
Oh wow.
78.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I met a whole slew of musicians through Kim.
Yeah.
And that really opened up a lot of musical experience for me. It was great.
Yeah. And Kimbo's still he's still doing. I was just up there a couple of weeks ago with Leo Armbruster.
Oh yeah. I don't think there's a musician within 3 counties that hasn't been up there with Leo Armbruster.
Oh, I know. Yeah, no kidding. Yeah. Including you.
Including me, right? Yeah, Leo's a real force in the local music scene.
Yes, he is. And but I mean, Kimbo. There's probably not too many musicians in 3-county area that haven't darkened Kimbo's door either. So you guys were like roommates, shared this house. I can imagine the fun you guys had.
Oh, we did. We had a good time together for a long time.
So you've got the Uncles of Funk, and you guys were pretty popular?
We played at that time. They were doing sock hops up in Lewisburg.
Okay.
At the Lewisburg Club.
All right.
And I had met some musicians in the Lewisburg area, Joey DeChristopher and some other folks up there, who said, "Hey, if you guys are interested in coming up and we can set up at opposite ends of the room and swap sets." You know? We got out and played. We didn't play a lot, and we didn't play. I'm not sure if we ever had any bar gigs.
Oh, okay. Well, after your experience at Sophie's Tiki Lounge, they probably didn't want you guys to come.
Well, there was still.
Don't bring that bar guy back here. He just incites people to violence. He boogies them to violence.
We had a bad
rep. But there were more places back then to play.
There were a lot of places back then. Yeah, a lot of venues, and actually you could make really good money too if you're a good band. You could. I don't know if you could support yourself as a musician, but you could certainly do more than cover the cost of your equipment and gas. Which was really nice, and everybody came out and danced. Yeah, which was great.
Yeah, those days are. I think, you have the VFWs and that are kind of like that.
Still sort of like that. Yep.
Yeah, like I remember growing up, our fire hall in Warrensville would have dances. Yep. This is late 60s, early 70s, and they would have a live band come in, and the whole township would come, and there would be a dance, and that kind of stuff doesn't happen anymore.
No, that was great. When I at that time I actually joined the musicians union for a while.
Oh wow!
Because you couldn't play in the big rooms in the area if you weren't a member of the union.
Yeah.
So that was sort of an interesting wrinkle that's vanished now.
Now the Uncles of Funk, you said, were a dance band. Were you playing mostly covers? Or we
did all. We probably still had a couple of original tunes we threw in here and there. A couple of the other guys in the band, also contributed music too.
Yeah.
But but yeah, we were mostly doing covers, and mostly dance music,
Sure. Because that's what people were doing.
Yeah, because that's what people were doing. Everybody, all your friends came and you had a good time together. You know, it was like a big party in somebody else's house.
Yeah. Who? I mean, any names from Uncles of Funk that we would recognize, or?
Stu Schroeder's still in the area.
Okay.
Playing.
Yeah.
Greg Burgess was our keyboard player.
Names familiar.
And unfortunately, our bass player and a longtime friend of mine passed away a few years ago. He was, he played in that band up until the end, and then the drummer in that band also passed away in '90.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So we lost some people along the way there.
How long were you together with the Uncles?
We played together for a long time. Probably 5 years or so.
Okay, it's a good run.
Yeah. It was nice.
So we're up into what, the late '80s, early '90s now?
Yeah, early '90s.
Okay.
Yeah.
Once the Uncles kind of, and you're still doing your carpentry and stuff.
Yeah.
Once the Uncles kind of left, what were you doing then?
Well, I would jam with whoever wanted to get together and jam.
Yeah.
But since I had sort of connected into the music scene through Kim, up in Williamsport, every once and he and I played together as a duet through that period.
Okay.
On and off. And then I guess somewhere in the early '90s was when I played with that band Brothers and Others up in Williamsport.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I don't think I was involved in another band, for a while after that. But at that point I had met another musician from the Williamsport area named Bill Eck, who was a really fine guitarist, and taught, and I began studying with him.
And now you were how old at this time?
I was well into my 30s.
Okay. For a lot of, there's not a. I'm gonna generalize here. There's not a lot of people that would go in their 30s after having the experience that you've had and playing in bands and all that stuff, and go back and say, I'm taking lessons.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's pretty. I think that speaks to you as a musician, that like, hey, I can improve.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Now, was this theory? Was this,
Yes, this was.
Okay.
This was really, learn to speak the language of music so you can communicate with other musicians.
Yeah.
And learn. I mean, there was all this stuff that I could do that I could not explain. Mm-hmm. I mean, I could say, well, this is how you do it, and I could show somebody how to play it. But I couldn't tell them this is a major chord because of this, and this is a minor chord because of that.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, I'll go and study with Bill and try to get a grasp on this stuff. It's got to be good. Got to be good for me.
Right. Yeah. Well, again, I think that speaks to you as a person that okay, I can take this to the next level. But I have to submit myself to taking lessons.
Right.
So, how long did you study with Bill Eck? Right.
Bill Eck. Yeah.
So, how long did you study with him?
I studied with Bill for probably close to 3 years.
Yeah. Did you? So obviously, I was going to ask you. Did you walk into this, thinking, I know a lot about I think you're a humble enough person that you walked into this thinking, I don't know what I need to know.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I had reached the point with my playing where learning was not enough.
Yeah.
And so I would plateau. Mm-hmm. And then I would get discouraged, and then maybe stop playing for a while, and then get back to it. and then start building up my skills and hit the plateau again.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I got to find some way of getting beyond that. I need to know more about how music is actually put together.
Yeah. So after after this time with Bill Eck, afterwards, how did you apply what you knew? I mean, you said you didn't get back into like another band or anything. Were you just, how did you apply then what you knew?
Well, I started to at that point. I started to really dig in more into the idea of writing.
Okay. All right.
And I also joined a band over in Sunbury. We called ourselves the Kickbacks.
Okay.
And actually it's another story where, when I was taking lessons with Bill, I should back up a little bit here. At the very beginning, when I started taking lessons with Bill, after my third lesson, I was really discouraged, at how much I didn't know.
Yeah.
And I said to him one night, I said, Bill, I'm ready to go home and burn my guitar. I'm just so ignorant of everything here. Yeah. And he said, well, you're just getting overwhelmed by the view. He said, think of it as the wide open range, and we're gonna rope a bunch of steers and put them in this corral and take a look at them.
Yeah.
So that really helped me a lot. It was like, oh, okay, we'll do this a little bit at a time. It's like.
I'm going to circle back because, even that, I think I already know the answer to it, though. But I mean, you were before you took, and I think that's a really, like a good touchstone part for your musical life is having the self-awareness that I need to know more and I don't know what I don't know. But were you a competent guitar player before then? I mean,
oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, but it was all by ear.
But it was all by ear, right?
Yeah. So after this tutelage, this education, so then you're starting to write more. Did you find that writing was easier now that you had the theory to back up, or?
Well, it was more. Well, a couple of things happened as the lessons went on with Bill, and I began to grasp the fundamentals of basic music theory.
Yeah.
He said to me one evening after my lesson, he said, you should take on some students of your own.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I said, well, I'm taking lessons with you, so what am I going to teach them?
Yeah.
And he said, teach them what you know.
Yeah.
He said, you know more than they do. Teach them what you know. But really, it was a very sly way of getting me to really use what I was learning from him.
Yeah.
If I couldn't explain it to somebody else, I didn't know it.
Bingo.
And so I thought, well, this is a brilliant move. So I did. I sort of let it be known that I would take on guitar students. And then I joined this other band over in Sunbury.
Yeah.
And they were all, none of them were even remotely, even semi-professional, or they were real beginners pretty much.
Yeah.
But they were enthusiastic, and they wanted a lead guitar player, and I said, sure, I'll come see what you're doing, So I went and
now were these people was this band considerably younger than you, or about the same age?
I was in my mid-40s. They were in their 30s.
Okay, all right. So I don't think that's a big difference, but maybe at the time
in that stage of life, 30s, 40s, it's all pretty close.
We're all pretty much.
Right. Yeah, we've all given up being in high school, at least.
Right.
Well, some of us have. Anyway.
Yeah.
So that's that was the next, and then in that band, I realized that they could be my first students, because they didn't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I started giving the other guitar player music lessons, and there was a young guy that played percussion with him that wanted to learn how to play guitar and stuff, and so one night the other guitar player came over for his lesson, and he showed me a book of poetry that he had collected, that he had written.
Oh wow!
I read through it, and I realized that it was like folk art. It was like, oh, this is there's some heart to this. It's really good. And I looked at him. I said, "Do you ever think about writing a song?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, no." And I said, "Well, think about it."
Yeah.
And so when he came to his next lesson, he said, I wrote a song. So I said, "Great, let's play it." So he played a song, and it was a good song. It held together, and I thought this is great. So it encouraged him. Yeah. And he started writing more. Yeah. And the band went from being a cover band to playing a lot of his original music.
Now, is he still around?
He is, and I'm playing with him again now. It's like,
who is it?
Rich Wilson over in Sunbury.
Now, is he with
the Mile Hill Band?
Is he the songwriter with them?
He's the songwriter.
Wow. Because the stuff that's some good. All right, we're jumping ahead a little bit because Mile Hill Band is the band that you're playing with now.
Right.
And I started playing their stuff on the radio show. I think it was like one of the first gigs, or maybe the first gig you played with them. I got their CD. And I was blown away. I'm like, holy.
Yeah, he's got a real knack for pop tunes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's a really good songwriter.
So he started writing songs at your encouragement.
Yeah.
Oh, son of a gun. See? Look at what you've done.
What have I done?
Yeah, what have you done? So the kickbacks and your and going back to Bill. Because at first you're like, well, I'm taking lessons, and to someone that has never been a teacher before, it may say, well, I don't know, but you actually hit the nail on the head. If you learn something, the way you ingrain that and to make sure that you know it is to teach it to somebody else,
right? And
that's pretty wise. I mean, very sly of him to do that.
Yeah. Bill was really interesting and really an incredible guy in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Is he still with us?
No, unfortunately, Bill passed away. But,
okay. All right.
But he was, he was an amazing musician, a really excellent musician.
So you've encouraged someone to start writing songs. Did that kind of encourage you? Or?
It did actually. And that's when I began working on the material that ended up on my CD.
Okay.
I started taking it really seriously again. I bought a 4-track tape recorder. And started working on tracking my own material here at the house.
Yeah.
And Kim had always been really encouraging that way. He and I had recorded together on his equipment when we lived together and stuff.
Now, I really want to sit down with Kimmo and do this with him. When did he start with his recording, like his recording studio?
When we lived together in 77, 78 at the ranch,
Mm-hmm.
he was already recording then.
No kidding. Okay.
Yeah, he had a bass. He had recording set up in his bedroom at the house there that we called Studio A. And he was writing.
Okay.
And we worked on stuff together, and he recorded some of my early songs, and I helped him with some of his early songs.
Wow, good.
And so that was when he and he's always been moved in that direction, to sort of teach himself, and use the technologies that were available. He was really good at that. And we did a lot of great recordings together too. I mean, a lot of really interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned a lot from working with him. About how to record and how to arrange. Because that's sort of a whole nother universe of music, is learning how to arrange things and put them together to get your best foot forward.
Right. Now, so you had started writing in earnest obviously prior to doing your CD.
Yeah.
When you started until you put them, I guess, back Did you put them to digits or tape back then?
Tape.
Everything was tape on Simple Pleasures.
Yeah.
So from the time
it was Simple Pleasures was recorded in the studio over in Shamokin.
Oh, okay. So I thought that was with Kimbo.
I worked all the arrangements out here. After I bought the 4-track, by that time I bought that from Kim.
Okay.
You know, Kim moved on and bought an 8-track.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Kim decided to go digital, I bought his 8-track.
Oh, okay.
You know, and that's when I started. That's when with the 4-track and the 8-track was when I started to really work on my own material.
Okay. And what time frame is this?
This is a well, we were already here, so it's like maybe 88, 89.
Okay, all right.
So that's when I really started. I mean, I'd been working on. I did have some recording stuff before that, but I could only record 2 tracks.
Right.
You know. So that was a big step, to get an 8-track machine, but the stuff on my CD we recorded in a digital studio, but we recorded it to digital tape.
Okay, all right.
So that was actually on a tape format.
Okay, so you're kind of that transition time between purely digital and the digital tape and all that.
Yeah.
So from the time that you started with the 4-track here at your studio until we started recording that, how long of a gestation period was that? Because you said it was
almost 10 years.
Oh wow! Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah, I started. A lot of the material that I wrote that ended up on my CD.
Yeah.
I wrote in the early to mid '90s.
Okay.
And then in 2000 we recorded the CD.
Wow. And you have you're like Leo kind of on this. You have a good group of musicians on your CD.
Yeah. Yeah, we had we didn't mostly when we did the CD originally, by that time I was playing all my acoustic stuff out with a friend of mine who's a percussionist, Tim Attinger.
Okay.
And we decided that we wanted to record a demo. And I thought, and he said that he had recorded with Dennis Kaleda over in Shamokin at a studio called Clear Studios, which was Dennis's setup in his home. And he said he did a really nice job. And I said, well, great, let's go over there, and that way I won't have to wear so many hats. I can just go and sing and play.
Right.
So we went over there, and I was going to, we were going to do like 2 or 3 songs as a demo to try to, scare up some work.
Yeah.
And then Dennis found out that I was a cabinet maker. And Dennis works in the trades too on the side. He's a painter.
Yeah.
And he said, well, would you be interested in redoing all the cabinet work in my studio here?
See, I knew this story, and that's why I knew we were going to come back to this. So Bruce has spent his life doing carpentry and cabinet making, and so I knew that there was some bartering going on with.
Right. Yeah. So that was the deal. I said, yeah, I'd love to do the cabinet work for you.
Yeah.
And I said, do you want to swap time, and record us for the time I put into your studio, So that's how we arranged to record that CD.
Yeah.
And it worked out great. We had a great time together.
Yeah.
He was a really good engineer.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we cracked on it there, and I hadn't expected that when we went in.
Really?
But I was really pleased. I was really pleased that it worked out that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a great album. I've listened to it a number of times since you gifted me my first copy. I think I've got like 4 or 5 copies of the darn thing at the house, plus the one that's down in the radio station. So we're just going to use these songs or this time period. Do you still craft your songs the same way? And how do you approach songwriting?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I'll get a like the song "Life on Other Worlds," was sort of a humorous reflection on my lack of parenting skills as my children reached their teens. So sometimes it's an incident like that that'll get me thinking about it. Sometimes I'll just find a set of chord changes that I really enjoy, and work with them until I've had some sort of lyrical inspiration to add lyrics to the mix. So I kind of approach it from both ends. It depends.
Yeah. So there's not like one. I mean, you don't approach it as this is how I write songs. This is how they come.
Pretty much. I've always been a fairly undisciplined person.
The one thing I learned from you in my early songwriting, I still apply it now, is you approach it like a craft, like you're working on. I always kind of, in my mind, have kind of envisioned it like I'm working on this clay model, and I can change things around to find it, or I can use this piece of a song and then plug it into this one. It may work. Right. And I learned that from you. Do you find that obviously you do that because you had told me about it? So.
Yeah. I find that that's really it's really a lot of times. You'll put together a whole song, and then some piece of that, sparks an idea for something else. Like Bill, when I was studying with Bill, he would give me projects to work on. He would say, "I want you to go home and write not necessarily with lyrics, but write a song that has all chromatic changes, instead of doing like a 1-4-5 or something, So just write something with chromatic changes, think outside the box, So I would come home and I'd hack away at it, and it was fascinating the way it would things would just work themselves out. It's like, wow, this is really interesting. I never would have thought of doing this if he hadn't said that. And then that would become a point of interest to explore with other songs using a similar structure. It's like one of the things he told me was when we were talking about writing, he said he wrote an arrangement for what was that? It was an old standard tune. I can't remember what it was now. Yeah. But he wrote an arrangement for it that used 6 different forms of a D chord, so that he had bass movement in the chords, that was not just the root of the chord. Right. And so he would get me to think about things from unusual perspectives, rather than copying stuff or swapping something from somebody else's song and working that into something else, So you work on a song and some part of it really, really tickles your interest. You finish what you're doing, but you save that piece to look into later. Yeah. And I've noticed that about other songwriters too, that you listen to their albums and you realize that they were exploring something, and working within certain keys and structures for the entire album. It's like they explored all these possibilities that could be done with that, and I thought that was really fascinating, And then by that time, I had acquired enough technical knowledge of theory and chord construction and stuff that I could listen to professional musicians and break down what they were playing, and teach myself from what they were doing, and I began charting songs. Really charting the songs, to dig into them and make sure that I wasn't just, downloading something off the internet and playing songs that were, where they had simplified the chords and stuff, And so And so that really piqued my interest in other directions to go in my own songwriting. You know, it's like, oh yeah, this is really fascinating what he does rhythmically with this. You know? Or the fact that Rich is really interesting in his songwriting because he knows nothing about or very little anyway about music theory and stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know, but he's been playing for years. You know, and you know he writes his when you listen to his songs, they have unexpected changes in them.
Yes.
You know, and you know. And he wrote one of the songs he's written that's on his CD is Edgewood.
Yes.
Which is a song about an amusement park that used to exist over in the Shamokin area someplace. Yeah. And it's got a change in it where the song goes to from the root. The key is C. It goes from a C chord to a sharp 5 chord to G sharp.
Ooh.
You know, and he played it for another buddy of his, another musician that we both know, and the guy said, "Well, you can't do that." And he said, "I already did that, and here's the song."
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you know, there really are no rules,
right?
You know, and so you know. It's interesting that he writes that way, you know. Yeah. He writes things, he has a sound in his head, you know. And, you know, if it means stepping outside the key, you know, he doesn't feel bound by the rules.
Yeah. Good for him.
He goes there, you know, and it works.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm trying to remember that song, and I'll have to go back and play it because I want to hear it.
It's a very eerie sort of song. It's really, really interesting song.
Yeah, like I said, I think I've played it a couple times on the radio show, and so I don't, but I've listened to the CD a couple of times. So. Speaking of CDs, I want to go back and we're going to play one of the songs from your CD, and then we'll come back in the third. We'll get you up to today and kind of see what you're up to now. The song that we're going to play off of Simple Pleasures CD is Comme Ci, Comme Ça. So walk us through that one. Tee it up, and where'd it come from?
I think that I was in a period where I was transitioning back from flat picking to finger picking.
Okay.
And I, you know, all through the 90s, I had been playing more acoustic and less electric, and so I got more and more into finger picking, which was pretty natural to me, having played that way for so long, right from the beginning. And so I was interested in the patterns you could evolve that way, and so the chord change popped into my head first. Yeah, so that's where I started.
Okay.
You know? And then I I just sort of jammed on it until an idea popped into my head. You know, and then once the idea had popped into my head, you know, I sort of built on that thread. You know, and I mean, I write quirky lyrics. And,
We're going to talk about that in the next section. So, So let's go ahead and listen to Bruce Barr, Comme Ci, Comme Ça from his CD Simple Pleasures here on the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast.
Gotta show all the things you think you know, if that's who you think you should be. My friend, have another drink, you need another thing, you've lost your mystery. Comme ça, comme ci, is that how we want it to be? Every day will be in the shade of the big ought to be. nice, and that it should suffice when things are the way they should be. But oh, what an awful bore to always know what's in store. Why not get a lobotomy? Comme ça, comme ci. Is that how we want it to be? Every day will be in the shade of the big ought to be. Comme ça, comme ci. Is that how we want it to be? Every day will be all hung up by how things ought to be.
The quirky lyrics of Comme Ci, Comme Ça. And so we'll kind of tie a bow up on the CD portion here. Bruce gifted me a copy of his CD for very early on in our relationship, and I think I had maybe toyed with the idea of writing songs. And then I listened to, and really, I think, Bruce, you were the first person I really got to know well who was a songwriter. And so I listened to the CD and I'm thinking, I got to step my game up. I have really got to step my game up. And it was probably a few months after you gifted me the CD that I brought a song to you, and I was nervous as all get out. And it's like, oh man, he's going to tear this thing up. So that CD means a lot to me, and I think I included. I did something on Facebook, a couple of years back, where you go through all the albums that inspired you, and I had Johnny Cash and Hank Williams, and I think the very last one was your CD, because I listened and it's like, dude, you've got to step your game up. If you want to write songs, but. I'll tell you what you did do is that, quirky lyrics and, I'm stuck in the mire of writing quirky little songs. The fellow who's playing guitar for us now is a songwriter, and he writes love songs to his wife. And I can't do that.
Neither can I. I think I've written one love song.
Yeah.
Two, maybe.
Yeah. Again, you have inspired a number of people just by being you, and very unassuming. So you got the CD done. Now this is back before. All this online stuff. So did you walk us through how you got it, manufactured? I mean, did you, how did that work back 25 years ago?
Well, fortunately, Dennis at the studio where we recorded it, had knowledge about, getting things duplicated and stuff. I think Oasis was the company that we went with.
Yeah.
And the Oasis was one of the big companies back then, and there was another one that's still around that Kimbo uses a lot. I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, they, I thought, well, okay, my oldest daughter is a graphic artist, and I asked her if she would be interested in doing the artwork for a CD, and she was excited about it.
Now you want to talk about quirky? The artwork for your CD is quirky. So where'd that come from?
Well, I've always liked to ramble around the countryside, And I like to ride motorcycles, so I ride a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested in Americana of all kinds. And on one of my rides one day, I was down riding around down near Herndon, and took one of these little windy roads that goes off into nowhere, and came upon this place called Heim's Hidden Paradise. And it was like 5 acres of lawn ornaments. It was amazing, And I stopped and I talked to the guy. He was like, I think he was about 80 years old.
Now, were these for sale, or you just had them in the yard?
No, he had them in the yard.
Oh,
It
funny.
was a huge display.
Yeah.
And he had a big sign out on the side of the road that said Heim's Hidden Paradise. And he had made a lot of them himself.
Yeah.
And they were, it was folk art.
Yeah.
It was great stuff.
All made out of wood, and they're cut out and painted.
Cut out and painted. Yeah. Plus he had collected all the classic stuff, the elves and the dwarves and the little Dutch boys and girls and stuff. He had it all. He had a huge collection there. And I thought, wow, this is great. And I thought, I got to figure out some way of making use of this. So I thought, I got a perfect place to put this. We have these songs finished, and we need to put a cover on it.
That's right. That's right. These quirky songs, so we need a quirky cover. And if I remember, the front cover is the little Dutch girl, and then the back cover is there it is. And the back cover has the quintessential bending over with the
the garters exposed.
Yeah, the garters exposed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Yep, there it is. And we'll post we'll post a picture of the artwork for the CD on the podcast. But so you've got the CD wrapped up. You've got it manufactured. You have your 1,000 copies, and so what goes on after that? I mean, were you playing out?
Yes, Tim and I were playing out a lot.
Okay.
We were really trying to fill the schedule and move.
Because originally
CDs.
that's what this project was supposed to be, was just doing a couple demos to send out.
Right.
Yeah. Now the Tim is, and forgive me for not remembering, is he pretty much featured on each track, or?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We when we ran in, it's sort of a funny story. When we went into the studio originally, I had never, aside from recording with Kim.
Mm-hmm.
I had never really recorded with anybody else.
Yeah.
And I recorded a little bit with Bill, I guess. So I wasn't used to tracking things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we went into the studio, and Dennis said, "Okay, well let's we'll put down a scratch vocal track and stuff, so we have some basis to work with." And he put up a click track for me, and so
Now, had you ever played with a click track before? I mean, you play with metronomes, I'm sure.
I played drum machines. I'd worked a lot with drum machines and stuff. So my timing was good. I didn't have a problem with that. I know some people do.
Yeah.
And so so I was ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
But what I discovered about myself was that what I was doing with my guitar was so tightly bound to what I was doing lyrically that I couldn't separate them.
Interesting.
I couldn't sit there and play the guitar part for the whole song. Even though I had done that on home recording, in a way it was different.
But when you were home, were you recording and singing at the same time?
Well, I was recording and singing at the same time. Yeah. So after our second session in the studio, I went home in tears. I thought, this is terrible. I'm blowing off at this time. I'm not getting anything done. So I went back to Dennis. The third time, and I said, "Listen, is there any chance that Tim and I can just record this live?" And he said, "Well," I said, "we can try it." He said, "But I won't be able to get the kind of separation I need on the tracks if we want to go back in and change things or edit things."
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, okay. The songs are basically between 3 and 5 minutes. So if we blow it on the first take, hopefully we'll catch it on the second take.
Yeah.
It won't be a big deal."
Yeah.
So Dennis was great. He actually crawled around on the floor on his hands and knees listening to us play to find the sweet spot to set up the microphones to get the most separation of sound.
Yeah.
You know. And so that's the way the CD was recorded. The CD was basically recorded live.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So we did go back in and add some tracks.
Yeah.
We went back in and added some more percussion. On a couple of the tracks, we added other musicians.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Adams came and did some stuff for us, and Kimbo and Steve Mitchell came in and did some drum work for us and stuff. And a couple other musicians came too and helped out, Yeah. So it was really interesting, but it was basically alive. It was, I wanted the demo to show who we were.
Yes.
Not to be a pro. I had been doing a thing with the guy that built my acoustic guitar, John Dillon. Mm-hmm. Did a singer-songwriter program here for a couple of years back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And he would go to like the Northeast Folk Writers Alliance or whatever, and pick up people and have them come and play, and so I used to do that with him. And at one point he broke his leg and couldn't do it, and so I ended up running the show for a while. Yeah, and so it was I met all these songwriters from all over the place, and they were all good, I mean, they were all writing really interesting stuff, good musicians, good voices and stuff, and it was fascinating to see all of this stuff going on, and I remember one evening I had a married couple in. I wish I could remember what they called themselves. They were from Virginia, and they were really, really good. But all of their songs were sort of dramatic or depressing love song kind of things, Their musicianship was excellent, and their vocals were just unbelievably good, And we would swap songs back and forth, and I'm banging stuff in from outer space, writing songs about popsicles and things. Yeah. And we finished up the set, and they're packing up, and the guy's wife looks at me and said, "I guess we should think about writing some other different kind of material." Because I don't write in a vein, Right. That's it's just like whatever strikes my fancy, just sort of ends up out there.
One thing I want to circle back with the CD is it's interesting to me because I had the same experience when we did our EP out in Selinsgrove. Is I originally walked into there thinking, okay, we're going to do this live and then overdub what we need to, and that was like, oh, that's how they did it back in the old days. Right. Everything was just so it's funny that now. If you suggest that, it's like, oh, wait a minute. Well, it's you're going to get all the bleed over. We won't be able to separate the tracks. But hell, that's how they did it back, years ago. So it's funny to me when engineers or recorders will tell you that. Oh, that. Do you sure you want to do that? Because it's hard to. I got it. It's hard to. You can't separate the tracks in it. But I think there's a what's the word I want? There's a raw natural energy to playing the stuff live and then going back in.
Right. There's a communication that happens when you're playing together.
Yeah.
That does not happen when you're tracking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Interesting. I thought you tracked the whole thing. So that's interesting that you recorded the basics for the song. Now it's all the songs on the CD were recorded like that, just basic. You and Tim.
Me and Tim. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah. So it's a great CD. Like I said, I've listened to it a number of times and enjoy the heck out of it. So if we can move another couple units for you with this, I'll be very happy with that. So after the CD, you and Tim were out playing and what have you. Okay, you were and help me out with this story. You were one of the originators of the King Street Coffee House, or you were in on that like at the beginning, or
I was in on that at the beginning.
Okay,
Yeah,
all right.
That was Paul and Barbara Schaefer.
Okay,
and Jenna Rosenkrantz had gotten together, and they were talking about how nice it would be to have a venue in the area to give exposure to local musicians who did not play out,
right?
But who did their own material, or not necessarily their own material, but wanted to perform in front of an audience,
right.
And they wanted to provide a listening room, where you didn't have to put up with bar noise and bar fights and stuff. And,
right.
And so actually, before they started the coffee house, Jenna put together. She contacted people in the area, musicians that she had met, and did a singer-songwriter group. Mm-hmm. And Kimbo and I went, and Paul Kirky-Rudo and some other people got together, and we would swap songs and talk about how we'd put stuff together and give each other ideas and whatnot. And then the coffee house sort of developed following that.
When did that start?
It would have been somewhere around 95, 96.
Yeah. Because I know that I was exposed to it towards the last 3 or 4 years that it existed, but I knew it had gone on for a number of years before that.
Yeah, I think it ran for 26 years.
Yeah. And that was so. The format for that was it the same pretty much through the whole tenure of the coffee house?
Pretty much. It started out being potluck. Whoever wanted to play could get up there and do it.
Okay.
And it was in the Mary Abbott House over in Northumberland, which is right on King Street.
Okay.
Between Second and was it between Second and Front? No, between Front Street and Route 11.
Okay.
And it was, at first it was a fairly small crowd, but a lot of people from the assisted living facility there in Northumberland would come. Yeah. They would get dressed up. They'd get dressed up and come down. Wow. And it became very popular. Yeah. In that community. Mm-hmm. And after maybe the second or third season, we packed the place. Yeah. We had people sitting in the staircases in the house and stuff. It was really fun. And a lot of people who have gone on to make a mark for themselves. Nate Myers. Yeah. A lot of people passed through the King Street Coffee House, where they got a listening audience. Somebody to really sit there and listen to their music.
When you started that was not a common thing to have a listening room.
No, it was really unheard of in the area. Yeah. There were some churches that did coffee house kind of stuff, but there was no dedicated venue for that.
And sadly it's still that way. There's very few listening rooms still in the area.
Yeah, Lewisburg and the local music collective have
the community zone does that. Zone. Yeah. Right. And I played that this year, and I said, well, this is kind of what I envisioned the old King Street Coffee House and what I knew of it before its demise. It's probably about as close as we have to that right now.
Right.
So we when you were playing with us, we played there a couple times, and that's where the bug got to me. It was like, this is fun playing music.
Right.
This is what it's playing in bars and playing in restaurants. It's okay, but this is it.
Right.
Where
there's actually an energy exchange between you and the audience.
Yes. Yeah. And sadly, we don't. As I said, we don't have that for a lot of places in this area.
No, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. There's a couple that are doing it, but I think the closest one is, as you said, the community zone here in Lewisburg that does one once a month. But
right.
so you were in on the you were in on the ground floor with that, and was with it for the whole almost the whole 25 years.
Yeah, I was with it the whole time till the end.
Yeah. And COVID kind of knocked it, didn't it?
Yeah, COVID pretty much put an end to it. Yeah, we lost the venue we had at the Edison Hotel.
Yeah. Well, you went when we played there. It was at the Unitarian Church,
right?
And then it moved to the Edison, and then
right.
Yeah.
And then the guy that had the restaurant there at the Edison Hotel went belly up.
Yeah.
And that was the end of the room.
Yeah.
And we discussed on whether to carry on and try to find another venue or not. But by that time, everybody who had been involved with it for 25 years wanted a break.
Sure.
And there was nobody else coming on board as volunteers to pick up the slack and hump the equipment and set it up. And I mean, there's some work to it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So and then COVID hit, and that was it. I mean, I don't think we even spoke about trying to revive it again.
Oh really?
After that.
Yeah. Well, I said, I mean, the community zone's doing it, and that's, I think Tim Ladishaw is kind of doing, kind of riding herd on that, but it's only, it's only two performers. And
right.
How many did you?
We did three at the
three.
House.
Yeah. And you got paid.
And you got paid.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to hump anything except your instrument.
It was great.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was wonderful. And I always thought that it was one of those things that was just such a boon to the area.
Yeah.
And we did have a really dedicated clientele.
Okay.
People came and supported us all of those years.
Well, I remember it may have been the last time that we played there. Of the short time that I've been doing music, this is one of the times when I played or we played that really stuck out to me. We played. It was at the Edison in that big room.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Holmes was sitting in on bass with us, and we played one of my original songs, and the crowd was singing along. I'm like, holy. Damn, this is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, you don't get that playing in bars or restaurants and that, but
no, you're always background music.
Yeah.
when you're in that situation.
As Dave, Dave, our percussionist, would say, we're not artists, we're not, we're beer and wine salesmen.
Right.
But that was just such a moment for me that I'll never forget it. So
yeah, it was great to play at the coffee house.
Yeah. So again, thank you for exposing, for giving me that little thing too. So, so what have you been up to now?
Well, when COVID hit, I retrenched to the studio here.
Yeah.
And just started really working hard on my craft, on guitar playing. And charting songs,
Mm-hmm.
Seeing what other people were doing with their music and how they were putting their stuff together.
Yeah.
But I really miss playing with other musicians.
Yeah.
And after COVID had sort of wound up and everybody was vaccinated pretty much.
Finally.
My wife Robin said that that the spay neuter group that she works with, Sun Pets, was looking for a band to play one of their fundraisers. And did I know anybody? And at that point, I wasn't playing with you anymore.
Yeah.
But I said, well, I don't know. I'll ask around and find out, if anybody's playing. And I'm not sure how I found out that Rich was playing again.
Now you had played with him back at
the Kickbacks.
Kickbacks, yes. Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that, unless you, for the folks in the audience not paying attention, I wanted to make sure that we.
Right.
Okay.
We're back in time.
Yeah.
So I said, well, I'll ask him. I'll go up and see him and see if he's interested in playing. So I went up and I asked him, and I said, hey, are you guys interested in playing a fundraiser and getting some exposure? And they said, sure, we would love to do that.
Now, how long had the Mile Hill Band been together?
Well, they had been together for a couple of years at that point.
Okay.
They had a different guitarist.
Yeah.
A really good guitarist, Jim Wirt, a local Sealands Grove guy. And Rich said, yeah, we would love to do that, but we don't have a sound system. And I said, well, I'll run sound for you because I still have my equipment. Yeah. So I said, I'll run sound for you. You don't have to worry about that. So we were all we booked them to do the fundraiser, and it was a month and a half, 2 months out, I guess, and like 2-3 weeks before the fundraiser came up, I got a call from Rich, and he said our guitar player is really sick, and we're not going to be able to do the gig. Yeah. And I said, oh, okay, well, we'll try to find somebody else. So we did. We found somebody else to fill in. But 2 weeks later, I read in the paper that their guitar player had passed away.
The one that was sick.
The one that was sick.
Oh, wow.
Had passed away. He had some pretty serious health problems. Yeah. So I've been missing playing with other musicians for a while, and I always enjoyed playing with Rich. He's a really good singer, laid back guy. No ego problems or drama. And so I thought about it for a couple of weeks, and I contacted the drummer in the band who I knew, Sam Mariello.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And Sam and I had jammed for a while. And I said, if you guys are looking to get another guitar player, I'd be interested in auditioning with you, Yeah. So he said, well, I'll ask the guys in the band. And so they said, yeah, come on up and see what you think,
Yeah.
And I had already heard them play because I went up to hear what they were doing, so I'd know what to bring for sound equipment for their band.
Right.
And I really liked their stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, they have definitely they got a sound. So I said, yeah, I'd love to sit in with you. So they were happy with that arrangement, and I know everybody in the band and have played with all of them at some point or another. We have Buzz Meacham playing bass with us, and Buzz has been around for years. Yeah. I think Buzz and I are the same age. We're all in our 70s now. Yeah. Good. So that so it's so that's it gives me something to work towards and to work with.
Now, you guys playing out, like, you don't play out a lot. You just but
yeah, we would play out more if we could get gigs, but it's hard to find a gig for a 4-piece band.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But Buzz got us a slot playing at Volunteer Park in Milton over the summer.
Oh,
which
sweet!
Was nice outdoor gig.
Good.
And we did a fundraiser for Robin's group Sun Pets. At Skeeters. It was real successful. Yeah. So we're not looking hard for bookings, but
that when COVID was in its and you retired, you left our band. I remember you sent the emails like, I'm chasing gigs, and I'm like, yeah, I'm tired of chasing gigs too. Uh-huh. Trying to get booked for gigs and that, it's like, if we play once a month or once every couple months, it's all right. Leave the chasing to the younger guys and gals.
Yeah.
Yeah. But well, good. And you're still writing. You're still writing songs.
I'm still writing.
Yeah.
I've really been enjoying arranging stuff for the band.
Okay.
It's a direction that I wanted to go. And so I've sort of paid attention to that. And tried to teach myself some. It's always helped working with Kim and other people. Working with Leo. It's amazing how many musicians Leo can get to play on one song.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's really a nightmare to mix.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Leo has an ear for arrangement.
Yeah.
you know, and he, you know, his last album was, you know, was great.
Yeah.
You know, it was really
Well, the
good.
one he's working on now is
also excellent.
Yeah. And you know, he's doing one of my songs, which again, you know, and this was really funny, and I don't like this to be about me, but I mean, I think we've got enough of a pass that some of this does kind of bleed over. So he's doing one of my songs, and he was like, "Well, I may rearrange it. Do you care?" I'm like, "Hell no!" I said, "Make it yours, man." I said, I really don't want you to do what we've done with it or what I've done with it. I said, "Make it your own." So he changed the key, he changed the tempo, he changed literally the whole structure of the song, and it works. It's really good, and it changed the whole dynamic of the song.
Absolutely.
And like you said, I admire people that can do that. You know?
Yeah,
I mean,
well, that's you know, that's sort of what I've been working on now.
Yeah.
I've sort of dug back through my old files and taken some of the songs, you know, that I even some of the songs on the CD, you know, to rearrange them and, you know, give them a, you know, a different feel.
Yeah.
You know, take them someplace entirely different. It's a challenge.
It is.
You know, because it's hard to break away from what you've already programmed.
It's hard to unlearn what you've learned.
That's right.
Yeah. So Mile Hill Band, is it more of a cover band? Is it more of originals?
No, we do all original stuff.
Yeah. The first time I kind of knew the answer to that question. The first time I saw you was playing, I think it may have been at that fundraiser for Skeeters, and you played all original. I'm like, yeah. Yeah, and as you said, they are good.
Yeah,
he writes some great stuff.
Yep.
So they're gonna do some of your originals in there.
Yeah, we're mixing in some of my tunes.
Good.
Now. Yeah,
so Summer and Milton, we'll keep an eye on that. So,
yeah, cool.
All right. Okay, so for the podcast, there's a couple of standard questions, and we didn't cover this. Who is your touchstone? Kind of, I don't like to say heroes because it's so trite, but your touchstone or the person that sets the bar for you, either as a singer or as a songwriter, a guitarist, or both. Who's kind of your guy or gal?
I don't know. There are just so many great musicians out there, and like you said, I'm really eclectic. I listen to everything.
Yeah.
You know, I think in terms of male vocalists. The male vocalist that's been knocking me out lately is Raul Malo of the Mavericks.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean, he's sort of like the you know the new he's a crooner. You know, he's got that smooth voice.
Yeah,
you know, he's a great singer, and his guitar players are both knockout. You know, they're both great guitar players. I think that. Martin Knopfler's really influenced.
I was waiting for you to mention him.
my guitar playing a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and Eric Clapton. I've always identified with melodic guitar players more than riffers.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's Tuck and Patty. Tuck and Patty are a husband-wife team that do jazz stuff, or electric guitar and vocals, you know. Yeah. And his guitar playing is just wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Wow.
And her voice is unbelievable.
Okay,
she's great.
I'll have to make a note of that and check them out.
Yeah.
Songwriter, who would you?
Oh yeah, well, once again, Mark Knopfler. I love that he writes stories.
Yeah,
you know? James Taylor, of course, one of the great songwriters of all times. Mm-hmm. Paul Simon.
Yeah,
you know, an American treasure.
Yeah. Okay, so you know some of the Mavericks and Tuck and Patty. Okay, those are but everybody else is like, okay, I know where he's coming from. Yeah. I remember we did a demo up at Kimbo's in one of my songs, and you played on it, and you're playing all this, and the first thing I thought when I heard the rough mix, I'm like, we recorded that live, but I didn't appreciate it until I listened to it. It's like, he's doing Mark Knopfler stuff on this thing, and it sounded so great. You know? Okay, so the second standard question is there a piece of gear, amp, guitar, capo, that you got rid of that you want to get back?
Oh, I would love to have my old Silvertone Twin 12 back.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to put
I can't
out
imagine how
900
much
bucks
that
for
damn
it.
thing weighs.
They were outrageously heavy.
Yeah. I didn't ask you about your current, because I know you're not a guitar collector, but you do acquire guitars. What's your primary guitar right now that you're using?
My primary guitar right now is a Music Man guitar.
Oh, really?
They're Albert Lee model.
Yes. Okay. I remember you played that a couple times with us. That is a beautiful guitar with a really. Yeah, go ahead and you tell us what you like about it.
It's got I have two of them. I have a Music Man Albert Lee, which is outrageously expensive guitar, and I have the Sterling Albert Lee, which is their import line.
Yeah.
The Sterling has two humbuckers in it, whereas the Albert Lee model has three single coils in it, and the tones that the single coil pickups have in that guitar are really unique and wonderful.
Yeah.
Plus the guitar plays like a dream. It's always in tune. Intonation is perfect. Everything you would expect having sold one of your children to buy a guitar. And the Sterling, I have several instruments built in China and Indonesia.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, they're making Gibson and Fender up their game.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. I mean, back when we were, when you were, when I was coming up, you looked askance at the, and the Japanese were just knocking off, and the imported stuff was just knocking off Gibson and Fender. Now, as you said,
right.
There's
some really amazing stuff out there.
Yeah.
That guitar was not. It was. I guess they listed for just under $500. The workmanship in it is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
The sound of the pickups is great.
Yeah.
Really nice, warm, mellow pickups, and you can really make them sing. It plays well. It's not too heavy.
Yeah.
I like you said, I did pick up a bunch of guitars. I thought, back when banks weren't paying any interest, I thought, why leave your money in the bank?
That's right.
So I put it in guitars.
That's right. And you don't play golf with one club either.
No, right, exactly.
I remember when you played with us, you had a thin line Telecaster Squire.
Yeah.
And that was, I remember, kind of coming, it's like, Squire, Fender, screw it, man. It doesn't matter, because you made that thing sound like you could really get all kinds of tones out of that thing.
Yeah, it's a great guitar. It's a really nice guitar. Yeah, well, that's true. A lot of what you hear in recorded music are the skills of the performer, not the wood and steel of the instrument.
Yeah.
A good guitar player can pretty much make anything sing. And it's not like back at the end of the 50s buying a Teisco guitar that had an action that was a half an inch high, and you're trying to make it sound like something you recognized. It's like even the Teiscos are worth money now. Though,
no kidding. We Silvertone, all those that we, $50 and they're going for.
Yeah, I just bought a Silvertone reissue guitar. They were originally made by Dan Electro. Yeah. And they had the lipstick pickups on them. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have I didn't have a six string that had lipstick pickups in it, and I liked the sound. So I thought, well, I'll keep my eye open on the market and see what comes up, know. And I saw this thing pop up for like $200.
Oh wow.
And I thought, well, that's interesting. How can I go wrong for $200? So and it was brand new, brand spanking new.
Wow.
And so I researched it a little bit, and one of the videos I found was Jack Pearson, who was one of the all-time A-list great guitar players in the world, who played with anybody and everybody. Toured with the Allman Brothers for a while. There's a video of him playing one of these things, right? And he loves it. And
Yeah.
the thing sings, you
Yeah.
know. It's like, years ago, David Sanborn had a late night show on
Yes.
where they would bring on musicians, and he would take comments. He would read comments from the listening audience to at different shows.
Yeah.
And some guy wrote in and said, "Of course, you guys all sound great. You all paid thousands of dollars for your instruments." Well, a couple of weeks later, he had all these guys on there with guitars that were made out of packing crates and stuff like that, right? And they sounded great. It was like, toy trumpets.
Yeah.
Guys sounded great.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want to get tone, you can get tone.
You can, yeah. I mean, as I said, I reference your time playing with us with the Squire Thin Line. Brandon, who's playing with us now, played through my my Strat before his stuff was shipped out from Seattle. He played through my Stratocaster into a little Fender amp, and I'm he's playing with. I'm like, where's that coming from? Because I can't get that kind of sound out of that damn thing. But he's bringing, and that's what it is. It's not the wood and the steel and that. It's the protoplasm.
Right.
It's the touch, the feel, and and dialing it in. So, last question: is there anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about? Put you on the spot.
Well, I guess only this is that I would like to encourage any and all young and aspiring musicians, to get out there and chase it.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to learn.
Yeah.
And to all of us old and not so aspiring musicians, I would say don't hang it up yet. It's one of the great joys in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I am glad you didn't hang it up. I'm glad that you're still doing it. You're playing with Mile Hill Band, and we will make sure that we feature when they're playing out on the radio show and on our Facebook page. Again, I started out with singing your praises. I'm going to end with singing your praises. You have made a difference in my life. You have been a positive influence. Now, I will say that I still have the ruler marks from when I was learning how to play reggae. I still have the mark, but I have learned how to play reggae. But in all seriousness, you pushed me to do better. You were such a great influence on my life and a great part of my life. That I can't thank you enough for it. So, and I can't thank you enough for sitting down and chatting with us for this podcast. I've wanted to do this almost from day one, and I'm finally glad that we got it. So, thank you for being on board with this.
It's really been a wonderful afternoon, Michael.
Well, good.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, my friend. It is always a pleasure to see you. We're going to close things out with another song from this wonderful CD, Simple Pleasure. Now, you are, and I know this for a fact, you are the original Luddite. So is your stuff streaming? Is it on any of the streaming platforms?
No, I don't have anything streaming.
Okay.
I have no idea how to do it.
Well, neither did I. So, but if anybody is listening to this and they want a copy of Bruce's CD, reach out to me through the radio station or the Facebook page or mplundy@yahoo.com, and I will get you a copy of this CD. You really need to listen to this CD. Do you have a website? Do you have any?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Smart man. Smart man.
I did for a long time, but I never turned any interest really. I was one of millions out there.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to do another song from Bruce's CD, Simple Pleasures. This is Front Porch News. Tee this one up for us, and then I'll let you be the DJ, and you can play it out. So tee this one up for us, and what's it about? How did it come from?
This song. I lived in a little town called Unityville, north of Millville, outside of Bloomsburg, for a while. And they were uphill folks, and it was it was a really fun place to live. There were maybe a half dozen houses in town. You know, it was just one street, I made it a point to become part of the community and to meet everybody. And to have a relationship with the folks in town. A friend of mine had bought the building. And I did the renovation on it so he could move in, and then I had my shop. I had my shop in part of the building for a while and lived there. And we had a huge Christmas party the first year after we had finished the house, and we invited everybody in town, and everybody was curious, and so they all came. And so the song is basically about my experiences in Unityville.
Front Porch News. Front Porch News. Yeah, it's like, okay, what's he doing? All right, Front Porch News. Bruce Barr from his album Simple Pleasures, closing out. For me personally, a very special episode of the Rec Room Radio Hour podcast.
Swatting flies has been my trip, till a couple of friends stopped by. Said the hands on the clock, they're letting it slip. Time it's passing you by, well maybe I say it's all a joke, and maybe I let it all go up in smoke. I think I'll sing my little song if I can get the words to come along. Sliding round the corner to the tip of my tongue. Sitting here taking in the front porch, taking in that front porch news. Well, here comes Joe the postman on his daily round. He's got a smile for everyone in town. Hi Millie, hi Bill, how's life up on the hill? Hey, hey, nice day. I got them all here in my song, next to me where they belong. Heading down to the corner to Morgan's store. Sitting here taking in the front porch, taking in that front porch news. Sitting here taking in the front porch, taking in that front porch news. Down by the bridge with his new fishing pole, and Aunt Louise has lost his scent. Guess the trail's gone cold. But me, I'm happy where I am. Might join them later for a swim, who knows? Sitting here taking in the front porch, taking in that front porch news. Sitting here taking in the front porch, taking in that front porch news.
towards news from Bruce Barr off his album Simple Pleasures, and it was absolutely my pleasure to sit down with my friend, my former bandmate, and my inspiration and my encourager and mentor for songwriting, Bruce Barr. It was my honor to get his story down and documented for everyone. So thank you, Bruce, and thank you to the Clark McLean Band for letting us use their song theme for not only the podcast but also the radio show heard each week on WXBI Community Radio 88.5 on the frequency modulation dial, Tuesdays at 6 p.m., 2 to 3 Monday through Saturday, and 6 p.m. on Fridays. Hey, this episode was recorded, interview portion was recorded at Bruce Barr's studio in Winfield, Pennsylvania, and mixed and edited at Airline Studios with Roxy right here by my side. Hey, until the next episode, until we meet again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, please don't fret. Stay tuned and play nice until the next episode of this podcast. Bye-bye.